Welcome to Semi-Sealed, a new format designed specifically for MTG Arena. For this format, you will start by opening a sealed product. Then you will make a 60-card deck using the cards that you opened, as well as any common/uncommon lands that you want. And here's the big twist. When you are making your deck, you are allowed to craft a full playset of any card that you pulled. Since we're playing online, we can have instant access to as many copies of a card that we want. So we're going to take advantage of that. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 1 of Semi-Sealed. The first thing we need to do for every episode is spin this wheel to figure out which set we're opening packs from. And it looks like for episode number 1, we are starting off with Dominaria United. The next thing we're going to do is go to mtg.wtf. Then we're going to click on this sealed button down here. Next, we're going to click on this drop-down menu and find the set that we're looking for. And here you can see there are a bunch of options for Dominaria United. We are specifically going to choose the Dominaria United Arena booster. We're going to increase the pack number from 6 to 8, and now we're going to open our packs. All right, and this is what we have opened. So the way that mtg.wtf lists the results of the cards that you opened is in order of rarity. If you look here at these cards, you'll see that the very first card listed is a mythic rare card. It is a Liliana of the Veil, which means that in one of our packs, for our rare slot in that pack, we pulled a mythic instead of just a regular rare. And if I scroll down just a little bit, you can see that these are the 7 other rare cards that we opened from our packs. And as we continue further down, the remaining cards are the uncommons, and as we go all the way down, the rarity shifts to common cards. And then from within the rarities, the cards are listed in alphabetical order. First up is Liliana of the Veil. This card is incredibly powerful and run in a lot of mono black control decks. Aether Channeler is cool, but I mostly see it inside of Azorius Flicker decks. I don't know that it's a strong enough card to build our deck around. Evolved Sleeper, this is just a really good standalone card. We can just slot it into any deck that's running black. We don't even have to necessarily build around this card. Ivy Gleeful Spell Thief. Ivy is a really fun card to use, but I think she'll be very tricky to build around. Ivy says whenever a player casts a spell that targets only a single creature other than Ivy, you may copy that spell. The copy targets Ivy. I think in a sealed environment or semi-sealed environment, our ability to build around Ivy is really going to be dependent on whether or not we have a lot of single target spells that are worth casting. Up next, we have King Darien XLV III. I totally know what those Roman numerals stand for, and I'm just going to not say it because all of us know. King Darien is a cool card. Honestly, I thought he was a human lord. I didn't know he said that other creatures you control get +1/+1. He's in a card that I've used a lot before, but I ran him in a human tribal deck, so that's probably why I thought he was only good for human decks. But he's a very, very solid build around. He buffs your board, he can generate tokens, and you can sacrifice him. Creature tokens you control gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn, so he can protect your board from board wipes while you go wide. And I think protection spells are going to be hard to come by. And I'm a big fan of white. I am a white player. So King Darien, I won't lie, he's pretty tempting so far. Marius, Scholar of Antiquity, is an interesting card. I don't know how powerful it is as a 60 card build around. I know she's really cool in Brawl. Her ability says tap an untapped non-token artifact you control, add a green mana. And in Brawl, that was a nice way to get some additional ramp. But I don't think she's going to be our build around, if I'm being honest. I don't know, we'll have to see what artifacts we get. Up next, we have Shadowrite Priest. I don't actually know this card. It's 1 and a black for a 2/2 human cleric that says, other clerics you control get +1/+1. Ayo, that's kind of cool. I didn't know that clerics add a lord, because I've seen a bunch of Orzhov cleric decks, but none of them were ever running this dude. And like, they should be? He also says you can pay 3 and 2 black, tap, sack another cleric, search your library for a black creature card, put it onto the battlefield, and shuffle. Yeah, what the heck? Why does no one run this in their cleric decks? Like, that's a great card for them. And I would like to point out that is our 3rd rare card in the color of black, which means right now black is in the lead. And surprisingly, we do actually have some synergy between our cards because Evolved Sleeper, after you pay 1 black, it becomes a human cleric with base power and toughness 2/2, and that synergizes with the Shadowrite Priest. And neither of these cards are legendary, so we could run a full playset of both. And then Liliana can just be slotted into any black deck, because she's just good. I won't lie, I think black is in the lead right now for what we should build around. Finally, we have Sten Paranoid Partisan. It is white and a blue for a 2/2 human wizard that says, as Sten enters the battlefield, choose a card type other than creature or land. Spells you cast for the chosen type cost 1 less to cast. You can pay 1 a white and a blue to exile Sten, return to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. Oh, that's interesting. Sten is also a good card for flicker decks, just like Aether Channeler. I don't know what set Soul Herder is from though. Let's take a look. View all prints. Soul Herder didn't come out until Modern Horizons? Are you serious? I definitely thought it was an older card than that. Well, I don't think we're going to be building a flicker deck. All right, guys, based off of the rares that we have to build around and the rest of the cards that I opened in these packs, because I did take a look, I think we are going to go with mono black. We have access to cards like Cold Conscript and Cut Down, Knight of Dusk's Shadow, Pilfer. Pilfer's a good one. That's probably going to make it into the deck. We can run a little bit of protection with Battle Rage Blessing, Bone Splinters. That's some more removal. We have Extinguish the Light. And when I was taking a look at the other cards that we opened, I was trying to keep an eye out for cards for Ivy and token generators for the King to see if we can do Selesnya tokens. Phyrexian Rager, that's going to be a good one for our deck. But I don't think we had enough options. We did have access to a great protection spell, Shore Up for Ivy, but we didn't have a lot of other single target spells. There were a couple in red that would have been good, but I think trying to make a Teamer Ivy deck would have been just a little bit too ambitious for episode 1. And this is the bottom of our list here. And the top end for our deck is actually right here. It's probably just going to be Writhing Necromass. But yeah, it looks like for episode 1, we are going with mono black. So I'm going to throw together a deck list and I will see you guys in a second. Alright guys, and here is our completed deck list. The rare cards that we are running are 4 copies of Evolved Sleeper, 4 copies of Shadowrite Priest, and 3 copies of Liliana of the Veil. The other creatures that we're running in this deck are a full playset of Cold Conscript, Phyrexian Rager, and Writhing Necromass. After that, we have a bunch of removal with 2 copies of Bone Splinters, 4 copies of Cut Down, and 2 copies of Extinguish the Light. After that, we have a playset of Pilfer as a little additional discard effects for our opponent. And then we have a 1 of Battle Rage Blessing as a little bit of protection. For our mana base, we're running 23 Swamps and 1 copy of Gates of the Black Dragon. But yeah, honestly, I'm pretty happy with this deck. I think it's going to do well. So let's go hop into some matches. All right, guys, here we are in game number 1, and our opening hand is definitely doable. Man, I am really excited for this game 1, and for a couple reasons. 1, I'm excited about the new series. 2, I mostly run budget decks. I haven't ran a deck with this many rares in it in a very long time, and still not even that many. And I'm excited that our deck list was pretty decent. All right, now our opponent started with a turn 1 Tiefling Outcast. It's 1 red for a 1/1 Tiefling Peasant with double team. Other demons, devils, imps, and tieflings you control get +1/+0. I think I'm just going to set up our Cold Conscript. I could have killed it with Cut Down, but I think we're okay to save this for one of his other creatures, or for a later turn. They play out a second Tiefling Outcast. They connect for 2, we go down to 18. And you know what? I probably shouldn't have skipped over the words double team. Whenever a creature with double team attacks, if it's not a token, conjure a duplicate into your hand, then both of them perpetually lose double team. Okay, so we definitely need to cut down this other Tiefling Outcast before he's able to make a new copy and add that to his hand. And then we'll say no attacks, hold up our Cold Conscript to try and trade with one of his creatures. Alright, our opponent doesn't attack, but they do play out a Witty Roastmaster, 2 and a red for a 3/2 Devil Citizen. Whenever another creature you control enter, this creature deals 1 damage to each opponent. I think the only play we really have here is to play out the Phyrexian Rager. That'll give us another blocker, and then we get to draw a card and lose 1 life. I will say no attacks. Our opponent plays a Giant Cindermaw, 3 mana 4/3 trample, players can't gain life. I don't think that affects us at all. And they pass. They really do not want to lose their creatures. Alright, for our turn 4 play, I think we're going to start with Pilfer. We're going to take a look at our opponent's hand, and we're going to make them discard their Mayhem Patrol. And we know that the last card they have in hand is a land. Question is, do I think they're going to swing out here? If I think they're going to swing, I want to hold up mana for Battle Rage Blessing. I'm going to pass. I think we want to hold up the mana, because if he draws into another land or another card that's not super useful, like, you got to start applying pressure, right? The only thing left to do would be to swing. He plays out his land, and he's going to try to kill our Cold Conscript. Deal 2 damage to target creature or planeswalker. If that creature or planeswalker would die this turn, exile it instead. I guess we'll keep it alive with our Battle Rage Blessing. Seems pretty good. But because we use that, I don't think our opponent's going to swing. So we won't be able to surprise them during combat, which is unfortunate. Alright, the only play we have for our turn is to play out a Shadowrite Priest, which is basically just a vanilla 2/2 at this moment in time. But if our opponent finally swings out, oh my, he has a swamp in his deck. I was pretty certain that he was mono red. Anyway, I was going to say if our opponent swings out, then next turn we can play Writhing Necromass. Luckily they do swing. I will use the Shadowrite Priest. No, I'll use the Phyrexian Rager and the Cold Conscript to block his Giant Cindermaw. 1 point of trample damage will hit us. We'll go to 15, and we get to bring back the Cold Conscript. Nice. And because we have 1 creature in the graveyard now, we have enough mana to play out Writhing Necromass. And now that we have a 5/5 with Death Touch on the board, I'm hoping that is enough to just beat our opponent, I guess. Yeah, just outpressure their board. Our opponent is going to shock our Shadowrite Priest, and they don't swing still. I'm going to start our turn by playing a Phyrexian Rager, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to use this Bone Splinters that we drew into to kill their Witty Roastmaster. Yeah, let's do that. We're going to Bone Splinters this, sacrifice the Cult Conscript. This is going to allow us to swing safely with the Writhing Necromass. We swing, we connect for 5, set our opponent to 15. They swing out with both of their Tiefling Outcasts. We will block 1, we take 2, we go down to 12. That allowed us to bring back Cult Conscript because a non-skeleton creature died under our control this turn. Ooh, and we top deck the Evolved Sleeper. This is nice. We have a lot of mana. So we're going to level it up to level 1. This creature becomes a human cleric with base power 2/2. Pay 2 more mana. If this creature is a cleric, put a death touch counter on it and it becomes a Phyrexian human cleric with base power and toughness 3/3. And we have enough mana to take it all the way. If this creature is a Phyrexian, put a +1/+1 counter on it, you draw a card and lose 1 life. Now it is a 4/4 with Death Touch. We'll swing in for 7, set our opponent down to 8, and we end the turn. Great top deck. Evolved Sleeper is a very nice mana sink. Alright, our opponents, they did manage to top deck some gas. They found Cardum, Patron of Flames. 4 mana 4/3 demon with haste. Whenever he attacks, put a flame counter on it, then seek a card with mana value equal to the number of flame counters on it and exile that card face down. When Cardum dies, put all cards you owned exiled with it into your hand. At the beginning of your end step of your next turn, discard those cards. Okay, he's got a 5/3 with haste, and he has to hold it up as a blocker. He swings, and I don't know that that is the right call, because I can just say no blocks. We take 6, we go down to 5, and now we just have lethal on board. All right, and that's game number 1. Hell yeah, we got there. That's a good start to the series. All right, here we are in game number 2, and our opening hand is very, very nice. Having 2 Evolved Sleepers in our opener is pretty solid. We're going to start with a turn 1 Evolved Sleeper. For this turn, I think the move is to play out a second Evolved Sleeper. I'm going to level up the first one, make it a 2/2, and swing. I could have held mana up for cut down, but I think I'm okay playing that during our main phase for next turn if our opponent gives us a target. And they do. They played Shigeki and Jukai Visionary. So we're going to cut that down, and then I'm going to play out the Shadowrite Priest, which has other clerics you control, get +1/+1. Gonna buff our board, at least the Evolved Sleeper that we leveled up, and we swing in for 4, set our opponent down to 14 already. We're in a pretty good position. Our opponent plays Topiary Stomper. This can't attack or block unless you control 7 or more lands. So we're going to level up our other Evolved Sleeper. We're going to turn this into a cleric, so it is now a 3/3 thanks to the Shadowrite Priest. And from here, I think we're just going to play out a Phyrexian Rager. When it enters, we draw a card and lose 1 life. And we'll swing in for 8 damage, set our opponent down to 6. That's a lot of damage. And our opponent scoops. All right, that was a pretty clean match. All right, here we are in game number 3. We are going first in our opening hand. Not bad. Good enough to keep at least. We'll start with a turn 1 Cult Conscript. Ew. All right, our opponent's playing mono white life gain. If you have seen some of my other videos, you might already know I hate playing against mono white life gain. And I have declared that I am not going to play against them in any more videos because it's boring to watch. And even if I win, I don't have a good time. So we're just gonna scoop, we're gonna concede the match, and we're gonna move into the next one. All right, here we are in another game in our opening hand. Pretty nasty. Double Evolved Sleeper with the Shadowrite Priest again. That's pretty good. Our opponent is running 117 cards in their library. It's a very ambitious deck size. It's the nicest thing I can say about it. We're gonna start with the turn 1 Evolved Sleeper. Next turn, we'll probably play out the second Sleeper and level up the first. Our opponent does nothing, so we go to cast the Evolved Sleeper. It sticks. We'll level up the first one, make it a 2/2, and swing in for 2. Set our opponent down to 18. All right, our opponent has still done nothing. It is very suspicious. They do have 2 blue mana up. I kind of feel like they have a counter spell. So you know what? We could just play around it. I was thinking too long for our opponent. They conceded. We had a couple options there. We could try to bait the counterspell with one of our Lilianas because we do have 2, so if one got countered, not that big a deal. The other option we had was to stick with our original game plan. I would level up the second Evolved Sleeper, so it becomes a 2/2 human cleric. And then with our 2 remaining mana, we'd play the Shadowrite Priest. But I really didn't want this to get countered. So the safest play really would have been to level up our second Evolved Sleeper once, so it becomes a 2/2. And then with our other 2 mana, we could level up our first Evolved Sleeper up to the second level, turning it into a 3/3. It's a tough call. I think I probably just would have leveled these up and then swung in for 5 damage. But that was too much thinking for our opponents, so they scooped before I even began to rope them. So, hey, a dub's a dub. All right, here we are in another match. Our opening hand is a little bit slow, but it is very control-y, and that might be good enough. Turn 2 Pilfer into turn 3 Liliana. We make our opponent discard or sacrifice the right things. That might just be enough to end the game. Our opponent starts with a turn 1 Utopia Sprawl. So here we're going to Pilfer. Let's take a look at what they have. Oh my. They are Selesnya enchantments. I think I will make them discard their Jukai Naturalist. I don't love our chances against this deck. Black is one of the worst colors to play against enchantment decks. There's literally only like 3 cards in all of black that say destroy enchantment. And half of them really say make your opponent sacrifice an enchantment card. So they still have the option to choose what they want to get rid of. Anyway, we're gonna play our Liliana, and I guess we'll -2, make them sack their Mana Dork, their Sanctum Weaver. They're gonna play Idyllic Tutor, so they get to search the library for an enchantment card, reveal it, put it in their hand, then shuffle, and they grab a Sithis. From here, I think we're just gonna play out a Shadowrite Priest, and then Cult Conscript, and I will end the turn. I'm not gonna use the +1 on Liliana because I don't want to discard either of our cards. If they play out something like Sithis, we can cast our second Liliana, -2 it, and make them sack one of their creatures. But I think we're going to lose this game. Sithis is really, really strong. We can make them discard, but every enchantment they play gets them an additional life and an additional draw. So I think from here, all we can do is play out the second Liliana. So you choose a legendary permanent that you wish to keep. That'll be the new one. We'll -2 it. Make our opponent sack a creature. I'm sure it'll be the Sanctum Weaver again. There it goes. We can swing in for 4. Our opponent's not going to block. They'll go down to 17. Yeah, this Necromass is kind of just sitting in our hand. We don't have a great way to get it out. Opponent plays a third Sanctum Weaver, and they're not going to play Michigo's Reign of Truth, which gives a creature +1/+1 for each artifact and or enchantment you control until end of turn. And they make their Sithis a 5/6. Big and beefy. They swing 5 at us. We go down to 15. Ooh, Bone Splinters is pretty good. All right, we're going to use Bone Splinters to destroy Sithis. We are going to... Actually... Let's see. Okay, first we're going to go to combat. We're going to swing with both of our 2 power creatures. They choose to not block, which is about what I expected. They take 4 more damage to go down to 15. I'm now going to use Bone Splinters to destroy Sithis, sacrificing our Cult Conscript. That will die. And from here, I think I just end the turn. I don't think he's going to swing at Liliana because last turn he swung at our face, which means if we top deck a land next turn, we can get down the Writhing Necromass. Oh, what? Oh, wow. That's an enchantment I haven't seen in a very, very long time. Overwhelming Splendor. 8 mana enchantment aura curse. Enchant player. Creatures enchanted player controls lose all abilities and have base power and toughness 1/1. Enchanted player can't activate abilities that aren't mana abilities or loyalty abilities. That's crazy. All right, we're going to use Pilfer to make our opponent discard something. They have 2 lands in their hand. I will make them discard nothing. I am going to +1 our Liliana here, make both of us discard a card, and I will swing for 1 damage, set our opponent to 14. Their Saga flips. They now have a Portrait of Michigo, which says it gets +1/+1 for each artifact or enchantment you control, so it is a 4/4. They're going to play out a Jukai Naturalist, which I think they used their Gate to Mannerborn to seek a non-land card. And then from here, we're going to -2 our Liliana. Our opponent's going to sack a creature, probably a Sanctum Weaver for the 3rd time. Yep, 3rd time they get to sacrifice a Sanctum Weaver. I'll play a Cult Conscript, say no attacks, but I think this is game over. Yeah, there's just no way we get there with our 1/1s. Say no blocks here. Our opponent swings in for 9 damage, sets us down to 6. Say good game, swing in for 2, set them down to 16. And then we'll die. All right, and there they go. All right, that was a cool match. That was a good match. That was fun. Why? Because our opponent's deck was interesting. It was cool. Selesnya enchantments, not that unique. Selesnya enchantments with overwhelming splendor, that is super cool. I respect it. All right, here we are in another match. Our opening hand is nice because we have an Evolved Sleeper, and we're going first. So we're going to start with that. For our turn 2 play, I think we're just going to play out a Shadowrite Priest and swing in for 1. Set our opponent down to 19. They started with a Deserted Beach, and that concerns me because I'm paranoid about board wipes. They just played Patriarch's Humiliation. 1 mana instant, target creature perpetually loses all abilities, then Patriarch's Humiliation deals damage to it equal to the number of creatures you control. They have turned off our Evolved Sleeper. That really sucks. All right, so we're just going to play out a second Shadowrite Priest and swing in for 4, set our opponent down to 15. At least these guys will still buff each other. That's something, at least. Ooh, our opponent plays Choice of Fortunes. 3 mana sorcery that says, seek 2 cards. You may shuffle them into your library. If you do, seek 2 cards. You have no max hand size for the rest of the game. All right, this is concerning. Our opponent hasn't played any creatures yet, and we don't have enough pressure to kill them already. We can swing in for 7 here. It sets them down to 8. but our hand is doing nothing. We didn't develop our board anymore, and if they board wipe here, we don't have a good way to rebuild our board. And there it is, a supreme verdict. It's 110% what I expected. And unfortunately, we don't top deck a land that actually would have been enough for us to play out a Writhing Necromass. But we missed the land drop. That's painful. That's rough. Our opponent's on land number 5. We're on 3. They play out a Thematic Compass just to rub it in that we don't have enough lands. We still don't top deck a land. We find a Liliana of the Veil, which I fully expect to get countered right here. Oh, it actually sticks. Let's +1 this. We can definitely discard one of our cut downs because I don't think our opponent actually has any creatures in their deck. Who knows? They might have one really big creature for the top end. They have to have some kind of win con, I guess. Solve the equation. They get a tutor for an instant or sorcery card. I love that card. Solve the equation. Phenomenal card. For budget decks, so nice. They use it to tutor, discover the formula, 6 mana instant, seek 3 non-land cards, then non-land cards in your hand perpetually gain this spell cost 1 less to cast. Alright, from here, we're going to make our opponent discard another card. In response, they use their Thematic Compass to tutor up a land, which I'm sure they're going to discard. We are going to dump a Cult Conscript, and this will allow us to play out a Writhing Necromass. Oh, and surprisingly, they don't ditch their land. They ditch Hypnotic Pattern, 1 blue for an instant. Target creature perpetually gets -2/-0. Target creature gets -2/-0 until end of turn. Wow, they are running a lot of alchemy cards. Because we were able to discard our Cult Conscript, that added enough cost reduction to our Writhing Necromass for us to play it. We have a 5/5 with Death Touch. Is it going to survive for more than a turn? I don't think so. But we got it on the board. Oh my, that was a cool combo. I hate that it was used against me, but that was neat. Our opponent played Mercurial Transformation. 1 in blue for a sorcery lesson that says, until end of turn, target non-land permanent loses all abilities and becomes your choice of a blue frog with base power and toughness 1/1 or a blue octopus creature with base power and toughness 4/4. They turned our Liliana into a 4/4 creature so they could board wipe it. That's neat. That's cool. Again, still not happy that happened to me. That's cool. All right, they cast their Discover the Formula. We top deck a land. We have literally nothing that we can do with our hand because our opponent's not playing anything. They're just wiping the board. They're gonna seek another card, and if I don't see them play something, probably just gonna concede the match. Yeah, all they did was copy one of their lands. All right, we're gonna concede because this is really boring. Our opponent's not doing anything, and we can't do anything because they board wiped us twice. All right, here we are going into game number 7. We are currently 3-3. We do have an even win rate. Hopefully we can maintain that over the next 4 games. We're going to start with a Shadowrite Priest. And next turn, I have the opportunity to play Liliana, but I think I'm just going to play a second Shadowrite Priest. Nah, we're going to play Liliana. We're going to -2. We're going to make our opponent sacrifice their Silent Hall Creeper. Because I've built a deck with this card before, and it's pretty strong. It's a really cool card. Opponent plays Sky Serpent Seeker, 2 mana 1/1 with flying and Death Touch. I think I'm going to kill it with Extinguish the Light. Destroy target creature or planeswalker. No, I'm not. I'm going to play out the Shadowrite Priest. I'll go to combat, I'll swing our 3/3, I'll see if they block with their Serpent. They don't. They take the 3, they go to 16. I'm going to end the turn. If they want to swing at Liliana and not leave up a blocker, I am okay with that. They're going to play out a 4/4 Frog Druid. They're going to swing the Sky Serpent at Liliana. We have removal for the 4/4, so we are going to destroy it, and that will allow us to push in for 6 damage right here, setting our opponent down to 10. I'm okay with that. Pretty good pressure. Our opponent plays Leap Guide, 2 mana 1/1, Frog with Vigilance. Whenever another creature you control enters, this creature and that creature perpetually get +1/+1. They can pay 1, tap this, return another target creature you control to its owner's hand. Okay, this is interesting. We have the opportunity to use Shadowrite Priest's ability. Pay 5, tap, sack another cleric, search your library for a black creature card, put it on the battlefield, and shuffle. Is there anything that we would want to put onto the battlefield right now? Is it worth getting rid of one of our priests for a Writhing Necromass? I think it is. We're going to activate this. We're going to use 1 Shadowrite Priest to sacrifice the other. We'll tutor a Writhing Necromass. Now we have a 5/5 with Death Touch. And we have 1 more creature in the graveyard, which is good because it'll make it easier for us to cast the Writhing Necromass that we have in our hand. Our opponent plays this big frog god that's not actually a frog. 6/6, reach, trample, indestructible, can't attack or block unless it has an even number of counters on it. 0 is even, so it can attack or block right now. At the beginning of your first main phase, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Then if it has an odd number of counters on it, draw 2 cards. So we can't kill this turn. We can't swing at it yet. What I can do is cast Bone Splinters, destroy their Death Touch creature, sacrificing our Shadowrite Priest. And then to follow up, we can play a second Writhing Necromass. Say no attacks, end the turn. Now our opponent's god will have a +1/+1 counter on it, which means it can't attack or block, right? It can't attack or block. Of course, they find another Death Touch creature, find a second Serpent. That sucks. Oh my god, yes. We top deck a cut down. We're so good at the game. We cut down their Seeker. their Sky Serpent Seeker. Our opponent bounces it to their hand with their Leap guide. They just threw the game. You can't block. You got rid of your blocker. What are you doing? What are you doing? Did you not read your own god? To save the life of his Serpent Seeker, he sacrificed his own life. My guy, your god, it can't block, and you tap down your other blocker. Well, that was a surprising end to the match. I was not predicting that. We're going to swing in with our 2 5/5s. They would have blocked with their 3/3, is what I was expecting. We would have set our opponent to 5, and then we would have played out our Evolved Sleeper, and then leveled it up twice. But I'm not mad that we won. Just surprised. All right, here we are in game number 8. Our opening hand looks good enough to keep. Our opponent is running 115 cards in their library. It is a lot. They have really cool card sleeves. Oh, and they're playing mono white life gain. I will start this match, but I really don't expect that I will play this out. We don't have any removal if they play like a turn 2 anything, honestly, that benefits from life gain. They play a Giada, not the worst case scenario, because we did manage to top deck a cut down. So we'll kill that. We'll then level up our Evolved Sleeper, make it a 2/2 Cleric, swing in for 2, set our opponent to 19. Opponent plays an Inspiring Overseer, so they gain a life, 2 life, and draw a card, so they're back up to 21. Do I need 3 mana this turn? I'm going to say yes. I'm going to cut down their Inspiring Overseer, then play Shadowrite Priest. It turns our Sleeper into a 3/3, swing in for 3, set our opponent to 18. Our opponent plays a Sarah Paragon. They're back up to 19 life. We're going to level up our Evolved Sleeper. It is now a 4/4 and can contest the Sarah Paragon, so we're going to swing in with our 4/4. They don't block, they go down to 15, and we end the turn. I think they're probably going to replay Giada, possibly their Inspiring Overseer if they're looking for a land draw. And whichever one they play, we can cut it down. Giada comes in, they gain a life. We're going to cut down the Giada. When it dies, they gain 2 more life. They're back up to 18. It's almost like I haven't touched them yet. They swing in for 3. We're at 17. That is the first time that they have hit us, and we have less life than they do. And we've swung in like 4 times already. It is ridiculous. All right, we are going to start by pilfering our opponent's hand. They have 4 mana. Which of these is the most annoying? 4/2, flying, lifelink, ward 2. I'm gonna say the Reformer. I don't know if it's the right call, but that's what I'm going with. We're going to level up our Evolved Sleeper to the final level, swing in for 7, set our opponent to 11. We draw into and extinguish the light. Hopefully our opponent will be greedy, play out a creature, and then swing in with their Sarah Paragon. If they do that, then we have Extinguish the Light to kill their blocker, and hopefully push for 7 more damage. We'll see. They play a creature face down and a Cleric class. Luckily, they sequenced that wrong, so they gained 1 less life than they should have gained. They do swing in with the Sarah Paragon. Is this ward 2? I can't actually kill the face down card, which is annoying. So I'm going to start by playing a Phyrexian Rager. When it enters, you draw a card, lose 1 life. It's a swamp. I'm going to swing with both of our creatures. If he tries to trade our 2/2 with his 2/2, we would have used the Battle Rage Blessing to keep our Shadowrite Priest alive. They don't block, and so we end the turn. They are going to play out a Metropolis Reformer. This creature says whenever this creature is dealt damage, you gain that much life. So we are definitely going to kill that with Extinguish the Light. Our turn, let's extinguish the Metropolis Reformer. When it dies, they gain 2 life. Dude, Sarah Paragon is ridiculous. All right, let's go to combat. We'll swing out, see how they block. They use Sarah Paragon to block the Shadowrite Priest. We're going to give that Death Touch and Indestructible to end the turn. Go to damage, connect for 7, set our opponent down to 3, and we end the turn. It's crazy that I still don't know that we can win this match. They flip over their card that was face down. When this creature's turn face up, exile up to X other target creatures from the battlefield and or creatures from graveyards. Okay, they're going to exile the Evolved Sleeper. Top deck a land. We are going to seek a non-land card with Gates of the Black Dragon. It is another Shadowrite Priest. We'll go to combat, swing both of our creatures. They have to block to not die. They take 2, they go down to 1, but they gain, 5? So they're back up to 6, and we get our Evolved Sleeper back. But it is unfortunately back down to just being a 1/1. We do have enough mana to level it back up, though. Opponent plays Linvala. They're back up to 8 life now. I'm going to... And Linvala says activated abilities of creatures your opponent's control can't be activated, so I can't even level up the Evolved Sleeper. We're going to play Phyrexian Rager. We have to hope we top deck removal for Linvala. Bone Splinters. Is this enough? Do we have damage? If I go Bone Splinters, destroy Linvala, sack the new Phyrexian Rager that can attack, we can now level up the Evolved Sleeper. It's 2/2. To 3/3, which is really a 4/4 thanks to the Shadowrite Priest. 8 damage. Oh my god, we actually made it through that match. That was like pulling teeth. We got through that somehow. It was such a long and mentally draining match. All right, guys, here we are in game number 9. Our opening hand is decent enough to keep. And I didn't even realize it, but we already accomplished our goal with our victory over that mono white life gain deck. Hello, opponent. We did it. We got 5 matches with our very first semi-sealed deck. So that's pretty dope. Any additional wins from here is just bonus. Anyway, we're going to start with a turn 1 Cult Conscript. Our opponent's going to play Omen of the Sea. When this enters, they get to scry 2 and draw a card. And for our turn 2, I think we're just going to pilfer our opponent's hand. I hate to do it. I'm not a big fan of discard effects, especially ones that let you look into your opponent's hand. But we got to play with what we got. So we are going to pilfer our opponent. And we're going to make them discard Risen Reef because that card is nuts. That card is like super good. If you've never tried running it in an elemental deck, you really need to. I use it in a combo deck and for elemental decks. All right, for our turn 3, we're going to play out a Phyrexian Rager, draw a card, and lose 1 life. We draw into a cut down. That's nice. I'm going to swing with the Cult Conscript, see if they want to trade. I am okay with them trading. Do it. And they take the trade. Our opponent casts a Path of Discovery, 4-mana enchantment. Whenever a creature you control enters, it explores. Explorer says, reveal the top card of your library, put that card into your hand if it's a land. Otherwise, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Then put the card back or put it into your graveyard. For our turn, I think we're going to play out an Evolved Sleeper and a Phyrexian Rager. We're going to draw last because that's what all great Magic players do. And then we're going to swing in for 2, set our opponent down to 19. This last card in their hand, this concerns me. Mastermind's Acquisition says, search your library for a card, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Ooh, that's super beyond unlucky for us. Our opponent played Ravenous Chupacabra. They used its ETB to kill our Evolved Sleeper. It got to explore. This is normally a 2/2. They hit a non-land card, so it became a 3/3, which means that it has now just enough stats to not die to our cut down. That really sucks. Like, that is in fact mad unlucky. So we're just gonna play out a Writhing Necromass, say no attacks in the turn, and hope we draw into a removal that can actually kill the Chupacabra. This Merfolk Branch Walker is going to explore twice when it enters. They find 2 lands, and that's pretty good for us. We're going to play Phyrexian Rager, hope we draw into like a Liliana, draw into another cut down. It's not the worst thing ever. We're gonna cut down their Merfolk Branch Walker. We're then gonna go to combat. We're gonna swing out. They're gonna block one of our 2/2s. It's going to die. We connect for 7 damage, set our opponent to 13. And because one of our non-skeleton creatures died, we can bring back Cult Conscript from our graveyard. Overall, not bad. I maybe should have held the cut down though. They don't play a creature, so we're not punished. They find a creature anyway. I am punished. I was gonna say I maybe should have held the cut down so that way I could kill one of their creatures before it got the chance to explore and become too big for cut down. They played a Bolas's Citadel. They used it to cast a Lurking Chupacabra from the top of their deck, and now they have a Risen Reef as well. This Chupacabra is really annoying. Whenever a creature you control explores, target creature an opponent controls gets -2/-2 until end of turn. They used that to kill both of our Phyrexian Ragers, and they just played a Mirror Image. This enters as a copy of another creature you control. They used it to copy their Risen Reef. Now they're popping off with their deck. Oh, what? And our opponent just died? What? There's no way. They just tried to cast another Mirror Image off the top of their deck. If you don't know Bolas's Citadel, it says you may play lands and cast spells from the top of your library. If you cast a spell this way, pay life equal to its mana value rather than pay its mana cost. They already played I think the Lurking Chupacabra and the first Risen Reefs, I think came from Bolas's Citadel, which means they paid 7 life for that. And then they played a Mirror Image, that's 10 life they paid. And just now they went to cast another Mirror Image off the top of their library for 3 life. And that was all they had left. They just killed themselves. They got too greedy. They weren't paying attention. They were just so excited about popping off of the deck. They're just like, yes, cast everything. Wow, that was really an unexpected victory. We were not supposed to win that game. I almost conceded. Normally, I would have. But I sat through the match because I'm recording. Well, we'll take that. A dub is a dub. All right, guys, here we are in game number 10, the final match of semi-sealed episode number 1, Dominaria United. Can we manage to squeeze out another victory? With this opening hand, maybe. If turn 1 Evolved Sleeper, it's pretty much the best play that we got. Turn 2, we have a Pilfer to follow up. Let's take a peek at our opponent's hand. And that is enough. This opponent hates discard effects as much as I do. The turn 2 Pilfer makes them scoop. They were playing a Genesis Ultimatum Dragon deck. And wow, it looks like they're their mana base was really going to be struggling. We're going to have a very, very slow start. And that's game number 10. We did it. We got the victory. Go us. All right, guys, here we are on my untapped account. And as you can see, in an unexpected turn of events, we have managed to go 7-3 with our very first semi-sealed deck. 70% win rate overall, 50% on the play, 100% on the draw. And this deck list had only one version. It means we got it right on the very first try. It's not as if we had a lot of other options as far as swapping in and out cards, but still, I didn't have to mess around with the ratios or anything. The deck, it worked. It got the job done. That's dope. That's awesome. That is really exciting. Well, thank you guys for joining me on episode number 1 of Semi-Sealed. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you liked the video, you should like the video. If you liked me, the video, and you like Magic the Gathering, you should consider subscribing to the channel because that will get you more of all three. And also, if you liked the idea of this series, do me a favor and tell people about it. Share it with other people you know that like Magic, whether it's online friends, friends that you play with in person, or even friends that you know that don't play Magic anymore but still enjoy watching Magic content on YouTube. Share it with anyone that you can think of that might be interested in seeing a new format come to life within Magic Arena. And also, give this a try yourself. In the description, I'm going to leave a copy of the wheel that I spun in the beginning of the episode. It includes all the sets on Arena, all of the main sets, not the little additional sets. Like for instance, on the wheel, there is Strixhaven, but there's not Strixhaven Mystical Archives because that smaller addition to the set is only like 30 or 40 cards. It's not enough to open packs from and then create a deck. You would just end up seeing all the cards. And I also left off some of the weaker sets, like the core sets, like M19, 2021. Those aren't on the wheel either. All of the main sets for Magic that are on Arena, they are on that wheel. But I'll leave a link for the wheel and also a link to mtg.wtf where you can go open packs for free. That way you don't have to actually spend any gems or coins on Arena. And yeah, then give it a try. Try building your own semi-sealed deck. I think if you try it out for yourself, I think you'll enjoy it. And I truly need your help to make this series grow because I designed this series, this format, to be played against itself. My ultimate goal is to have guests come onto this series, build their own semi-sealed deck, and play it against mine. That is the goal. But I am a very small YouTube channel, which means for me to get guests onto this channel, we need to grow a decent size bigger. But anyway, with all of that said, thank you guys again for joining me on episode 1 of Semi-Sealed. I hope to see you guys in the next one.